You just exported your GA4 data to BigQuery. Now what? In this video, we are going to talk about how your data is organized within BigQuery. First, by talking about the concept of schema. Next, we are going to talk about the different kinds of tables you will find once you open your BigQuery project. And lastly, we are going to explore how columns and rows are organized and how can you find the data you usually look at in your GA4 property. So without further ado, let's start this video. We are going to talk about how GA4 data is organized within BigQuery. So the first level is what we call a project. A project is like a bucket where all your GA4 data will be organized. You will have your queries, your data sets, all within the same project. The second level is what we call a dataset. The dataset is your actual GA4 export. You will find the following structure when looking for a dataset. We have analytics plus your project ID. The analytics part is your GA4 property plus your specific project ID. The third level is where you will find your actual tables. So your GA4 export will be stored in table format, and we have two kinds of tables. That's how I like to see it. We have the event tables where you will spend most of your time. So you will have the daily export and the real-time export, or what we call the streaming export. The difference between the two tables is the frequency. So the daily export happens once a day, and the streaming export is almost a real-time data export. The other kind of tables are the user information tables. So you have user pseudo ID tables. This table will contain information about users who do not have the user ID. You will have all kinds of information about your users, like the device they use, the geography information, etc. And we have a second table that will contain information about logged in users, which means you have a user ID, but this table will not be available unless you are using a user ID. See, I am in my BigQuery account. I have a project which is Analigo. So this is the first level. When I open the project, I will have my queries. For now, I do not have any queries. So once you start adding queries, you will have, in saving them, you will have the saved queries in this section. Second, you have a notebook. If you understand how to query using Python, you can use notebooks, for instance, and external connections to link your projects with other sources besides Google Analytics. You can add an external connection. These three parts are not our main focus. That's why I just gave a brief description of what the most important part for now is the dataset. As you can see, we have analytics and the ID of the project. When I open the dataset, I will have a bunch of tables. This is exactly what we talked about earlier. So I have the events. This is the daily export. And as you can see, there is a number 11 here. 11 is the number of days since the data collection process has started. So I connected my BigQuery account 11 days ago, and I will have 11 days worth of data. Events and the number of days is the daily export. And second, we have the events intraday. This is the real-time export we talked about, and you will get almost real-time data for the given day. And we have the last table, which is the user's data, and you will have information about the user, the device, where the user is visiting from, the geography, etc. So these are the three tables. If you have a user ID activated on your website, you will have a fourth table for the user ID. But since it's not the case yet for us, we'll have just three tables. So we talked about the tables that are available in BigQuery. Now it's time to discuss how the data is organized within each table. As you can see, I am in my events table. The events intraday in the events table have the same structure. So each row is a unique event. each event is stored in a row. And for example, we have the first event, which is first visit, and you can see here that the parameters are nested within each row. So the structure might look a bit overwhelming, but it makes really a lot of sense. You've got the event, and if you want to access the information within that event, it is nested within the same row. So that's how events data is organized. After explaining how the events table is organized, we are going to move to the second category, which is the user table. And instead of having a given event in a row, we have the user. So each user is stored in a row. Of course, we don't know exactly how many users are visiting our website. We rely on the pseudo user ID. It can change, of course, when you delete your cache, for example. This is just an approximation of a user. But the most important thing to know is that for each row, we have a user. And when you scroll, you will get information about that given user. We reached the end of this video. By now, you understand how BigQuery organizes your GA4 data. And in the upcoming videos, we are going to talk about how to query your GA4 data and get some basic information using some SQL in the BigQuery interface. Stay updated by subscribing to the YouTube channel, and I will see you the next time.